Would you like a free house in Japan? You can, technically, but no. Yes and no. It's a little complicated, but I'm sure you've seen the headlines of people in Japan getting free houses, or Japan giving away houses, selling them for $1 or very low prices, which is technically true, but once you look into it, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And those houses are known as Akiya houses. Now, what is an Akiya house? An Akiya house is an abandoned house in which the municipal government is trying to get somebody in. And so why do Akiya houses exist? Well, as you know, Japan has a very aging population, with most of the population being above 70 years old. And so as the population ages, many of them die. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't have next of kin, or their next of kin have sort of moved to a more urbanized environment, such as Tokyo, or these more urbanized cities where there's more opportunities for jobs as well as for just more opportunities to live. And so when the elderly die, nobody wants to claim the house. The people who have moved away, they don't want anything to do with the house because they don't want to deal with the trouble of the house that they're never going to go to. They just want to get rid of it, so then it gets abandoned. And so a lot of these houses remain abandoned with nobody in it in the past 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. Some of these houses actually still have not occupants, but people who own the property. But because the property is so old and they've tried selling it but nobody wants it, they sort of see it as a waste of time, a waste of value, and so then they just keep it abandoned. But there are some houses that are abandoned that they do get listed on the Akiya Bank. And so what is an Akiya Bank? An Akiya Bank is essentially a database of listings for abandoned houses. Many, if not all, prefectures or municipalities in Japan have their own Akiya Bank listing. Now, obviously, you have to find an Akiya Bank for the specific region you want to be in. I'm in Shizuoka City and I've been able to find mine. It's actually a pretty neat, nice website. But if I wanted to find a house in, let's say, Tokyo or in another prefecture, then I would obviously have to find a different Akiya Bank. And so obviously the Akiya Bank for your area of interest is very important to find. The interesting thing is not only can you find houses, but you can just straight up purchase land too, which is pretty great and pretty interesting as well. Of course, hearing abandoned obviously comes with a stigma, and you're probably imagining some run down house that's basically unlivable, and for the most part, you're right. A lot of these houses were made 30, 45, 60. Hell, some YouTuber actually found a house that was 90 years old and he purchased it and he's starting to work on renovations, which is pretty interesting and cool. Now, while many of these places are just straight up unlivable, there are some listings of houses built very recently and they don't actually look that bad. Yes, they might be a little bit more pricier than the average Akiya house, but some of these probably come at somewhat of a discount, and you could probably find some hidden gems here and there if you actually search properly. Now, while many of these places are straight up unlivable, the thing is they're dirt cheap and they come with a lot of land. So either you could buy the house and it's sort of okayish and you could put in some money to renovate it, make it livable, or you could probably just bulldoze the house down and then just build something on top of it. Because as I've searched, I've been able to find some listings of houses. The houses obviously look like crap, but it comes with a lot of land. And obviously the land is the more important part, because you can always get rid of the house, you can always fix the house, you can always replace it. The land, you can't always replace the land. Now, if you don't already know, I'm a Canadian and I'm here in Japan doing my PhD in pharmaceutical science. Now, every occasion I get the obvious question, hey, are you going to stick around in Japan or are you going to go home back to Canada? And so I've always been thinking and saying, hey, I got another 2-3 more years. A lot can happen in those 2 or 3 years. But obviously, you know, I'll go wherever I can find a job with my PhD. But the unfortunate part is that Canada right now is having a serious housing crisis, with the average house in Canada costing around 816,000 Canadian dollary dues. And even if we take away Vancouver and Toronto, the two most expensive cities in the country, we're still left with an average of $638,000. That is a lot for a house. Even some very small houses are going for insane prices. And what's even worse is the city I'm from, Ottawa, the average houses have reached a staggering $765,000, which is insane for a house. Just trying to think of me having $765,000 and then just putting it into the house is wild to me. I have a friend, we call him Bibo, and now he's thinking about kids, so now we call him Bubba Bibo. And this man recently purchased a house, and congratulations to him, and I'm very happy for him, and the house looks pretty cool. But obviously the house needs a little bit of work. He's put a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money into renovations, and he's knee deep in renovations. It's probably going to cost him still maybe another year to completely be done with renovations. And so purchasing the house and then renovation on top of that, I forget how much the house cost. I think it was like 60K, maybe a little bit less, 580, but at the same time, 580,000 plus renovation costs upwards of 650K. I'm not 100% sure, but at the same time, 650K, it's a lot of money. And so when I keep getting asked, am I going to go back to Canada? Am I going to stay in Japan? The thought of the housing market in Canada, because, you know, I'm 28, I'm thinking about a family, about being a responsible adult and finding a place to settle, finding a place to call mine, and spending, let's just say 600K, 700K on a house seems crazy to me. And so here in Japan, hearing about these Akiya houses, it makes me think, okay, would I go back to Canada and spend 700K on a house there, or would I buy an Akiya house for like 75K with a lot of land, probably equivalent to land I would get back in Canada, and then just bulldoze the house and then spend maybe like what, 350K on building my own house that I help design, that I help sort of architect and basically make mine with no renovations afterwards? That sounds like a great steal. And then I have like what, another 300, 400K left over? Well, I can do whatever the hell I want with that. And so taking this into account, the housing market in Canada, housing market here, and the availability of houses here sort of makes it really hard and sour thinking of going back to Canada, if you know what I mean. And so obviously I'm broke, I'm a student. While I haven't purchased an Akiya home, I'm very much interested in it, and I have been putting a lot of research because I do want to make it a goal of mine. If my YouTube and my twitch.tv/chasms pops off, then I do want to make it a goal of mine of purchasing an Akiya house and renovating it, as well as providing content for you guys about renovating the house and making it mine. I want to hopefully find a house that I can renovate, and if I can't, then I guess I'll just bulldoze it and just build something on top of it. But at the end of the day, I did do some research, and I do want to provide that research for you guys, because there might be some people out here in Japan or people coming to Japan that don't know about the Akiya houses and would like some more information. So I'll give you the sort of information I found about Akiya houses. So while I mentioned Akiya houses, there are listings and directories for every single prefecture. Make sure whatever prefecture you're living in, or whatever prefectures you want to move to, make sure to find the Akiya house for those regions. Now, obviously a lot of these websites are going to be in Japanese. If you don't know Japanese, just do what I did, download the Google Translate extension and then just translate the page, and it's pretty much good. And so once you have the Akiya house directory, and once you've found a house that you want to purchase, obviously the important thing is we have to check what sort of land is it, because there's two different types. There's residential land, which is of course residence where you would live, and then there's farmland. Now farmland of course comes with more land, but the unfortunate part is that only a registered farmer, professional farmer, can purchase Akiya farmland, because obviously they want somebody that's going to actually take advantage of the farmland and contribute either through food or through taxes to the community. And so you definitely want to make sure that it says residential land. And so then once you have the residential land, once you have your house that you want to purchase, obviously you have to go through the steps of purchasing the house, contacting the agent, contacting the government, seeing how this is working, because I don't know the sort of steps in terms of buying the house. Now, obviously, some of these Akiya houses do come with some certain rules, and of course there are fees involved whenever you're purchasing land or property. So some of the rules, the only rule I've really come across with is that people will only sell you the house if you are a permanent resident of that house. You can't purchase the house for a holiday vacation house or for sort of like a guest house. You can't do that. Some of them you need to be living in that house, while some of them you can obviously do whatever you want with them. So you obviously have to see and pay attention to what sort of rules are in place by the owner of the property. But if there's no rules, then it's basically fair game. Do whatever you want with property. So from my research, I found out that there's 5 taxes that you sort of have to look into and sort of pay attention. So there's a registration tax, which is apparently 2% of the estimated value of the house. So not the price that you purchased it, but the estimated value of the house deemed by the government. And so then there's a property acquisition tax. Now that's 3% of your purchase price. So the price that you purchased the house. Then there's a fixed asset tax, 1.4% of the purchase price, city planning tax, 0.3% of the purchase price, and then stamp duty, which is 0 to 20,000 yen, depending on the price of purchase. I don't know what any of these taxes are. I don't know what any of these mean. So I don't have any extra information. And of course, these values definitely probably fluctuate depending on which area you're living in. And so definitely make sure to pay attention to the taxes, see if it's purchasing tax or if it's on the estimated value. Because if you think that it's purchase price and is then estimated value, and you buy a house for $5 and it's estimated to be like 20 million, then obviously you're gonna have to pay 2% on the 20 million and not the 500 bucks. But the great thing about some of these Akiya houses is that some of the municipalities actually provide subsidies to help you with either these taxes or with renovation fees. So obviously it's definitely important to see what sort of incentives and what sort of subsidies and stuff you can take advantage of when purchasing these Akiya houses. Because again, like I said, the government is trying to get rid of these houses, trying to get somebody inside of the house, because then they're going to contribute financially as well as contribute towards the community, or at least they hope that they'll probably contribute towards the community. And of course, if they can get rid of a lot of these Akiya houses, get them filled up, then maybe there can be more urbanization. Maybe some of these towns, maybe some of these villages can start building more job locations, bring more of the youth back into these regions, which is why it's very important for the government to sort of get rid of these houses and try to get people in them. Now, that's all the information I really have. But if you would like more information, there are some wonderful YouTubers out there who have gone through this process themselves and actually have purchased a house. There's one YouTuber called Tokyo Llama. I've been binging their content about Akiya houses and the renovations on their Akiya house. And their house looks absolutely gorgeous. They show every step of the renovation process, and it's sort of something similar that you might go through if you purchase an Akiya house. So definitely check them out. I'll have them linked somewhere up here, however it works on YouTube, I forget. But definitely check them out. I'm sure there's other YouTubes out there. But as far as the information goes with Akiya houses, that's pretty much everything I have. So again, check out your local Akiya Banks. Make sure to check the information, check out the rules, the subsidies, the taxes that will come with it. Is it residential? Is it farmland? Make sure to look into all of these. But aside from that, there are some hidden gems out there that you might see and you might find. There's definitely one hidden gem that I'm definitely looking at, but obviously I got no money. But hopefully in the future, I could purchase it and I could show you guys the whole renovation process, because I feel like that'd be great. And I think I'd have lots of fun with that. But anyways, that's pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this more educational Japan video. If you have any other questions or any information that you want me to convey to you, I could do more research here in Japan about topics that you want me to talk about, then definitely let me know down in the comments below. But until then, make sure to give me a like, subscribe, ring a ding-a-ling that bell, and I will catch you lovely ladies and gentlemen next time. Thank you for watching my video. Peace out.